This is the first ever Nerdy Media podcast. Now, the reason I started this podcast, my name is Edward. I'm the owner of Nerdy Media Inc. We're based here in Los Angeles, California. And the reason for this podcast, I wanted to explain a lot about my company, what we do in the spaces that we're in. We're a development company. We also do marketing, getting traffic to websites, and we're also a payment processing company. So we kind of focus on those three areas. Sometimes we go outside of those areas because clients require us to. But we do a whole fashion, a whole range of things that help our clients grow, help us grow as well. In the development space, we've built things from just simple landing pages for marketing all the way to applications for various sites. We've built video streaming, live streaming, things of that nature for our clients. So, to fulfill their business needs. On the traffic side, I have a background in marketing, and that's kind of how we got started. On the marketing side, SEO, paid search, advertising. We have our own ad network that we run traffic through. This ad network helps our clients understand, where their traffic is coming from, things about their traffic, as far as like users, all the way down to the zip code. Um, and we use this platform to kind of track things, conversion tracking. We also set that up with paid search, Google Ads, and things like that. Um, and then on the payment processing side, that's kind of a newer side that we're starting to go in. Um, Payment processing, from what we learned, is so important to our clients nowadays. For some of our clients, it's hard for them to get a payment processor, um, let alone sometimes even continue to work with that payment processor because there's so many restrictions. So, we understand why some of those restrictions are in place on the payment processing side. We also understand, how to make it better. And each client is different. We work with clients in all different types of industry, from high risk to your regular everyday e-commerce merchant. Um, and the billing side, the development side, and the marketing side all work together. When we were building out these applications, and we're adding the payment processing in there. We're putting together all of the logic and all of the functioning of the site. All of these things work together to give the customer a good experience. So we know a lot about that. And I will, in a couple of later podcasts, we will go deeper into some of those things, just to give you a better understanding and things like that. What I hope to achieve with creating a podcast, I hope to achieve, just basically giving the audience a little bit of knowledge, also having questions come back to us. The one thing about the online space is always changing. Rules are always coming in, from different banks, from different service providers, and we have those restrictions. It's just not the wild wild west that it used to be back in the day. So I would like to have this podcast to document a lot of the things that I've been seeing, and things that I hear that are probably going to start to come up soon. If you guys have ever bought paid search ads, I started buying paid search ads back in 2008. It's 2025 now. So that's been a lot of years. And I seen the different, the landscape change so much, especially on Google Ads, right? They're kind of the standard, when it comes to exact match. We have all these variants now that are coming in that you have to clean up. and I'm pretty sure that's a big issue for a lot of the clients, that we've seen. Um, but for the most part, this podcast also helps me too, because if you ever met me in person, I'm kind of an introvert. Usually, when I go to trade shows, I'm less talkative unless somebody starts that conversation with me. Uh, but I've always heard that, hey, when I start to talk, that I usually have something interesting to say. So, hopefully, this podcast brings that part out of me, and helps me grow my business. And if you guys ever want to work with us, you can definitely reach out to me on our nerdymedia.net website. Uh, I have a form there that you can fill out. I'll definitely respond to you. You just put your information in and let us know your interest at the bottom. Um, but yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a big marketing guy. Marketing is what I really love, because the reason I chose marketing over some of the other business sides is because marketing helps me become creative, right? I was able, when I first got my first marketing job, was to build landing pages, right? And I had so much fun with that. I built various different landing pages to do various different things, right? You can build a landing page to get more registrations in. That way, it helps out the email marketing department. You can build landing pages to get sales, and things like that in that nature. So, and optimizing those landing pages have been pretty fun as well. As I grew in my career, I started to work directly with developers, and we would have back and forth. I understood, some of their frustration. Sometimes, you know, people have unrealistic expectations, or they expect the developer to know this and that, what they're thinking, without really telling the developer in detail what they really need. And that's why me and my team, we work really good together, right? And I hope, at least from what they tell me, we have a good rapport. A lot of times that translation from the client to the developers is very shaky. So that's where I come in, and I know, hey, this is probably how you want that to look. This is kind of how you want it to function. This is some of the logic that you want to add to it, to make it function that way, and things of that nature. And also enhancing. The fun thing about development is creative too, just like the marketing side. We've built some really fantastic live streaming, video streaming platforms within a good budget, and that's one of the things that I, like to show my clients. It's like, hey, compared to some of these other guys, we can build you pretty much almost the same thing or better, within budget, or around the budget you want. Um, you know, um, Going to trade shows, I've heard horror stories. I've seen some things, especially when clients have asked me to come in, and look at some of the development work that was happening, with small and large companies, and I was kind of shocked. So, you know, our company, um, not that I'm gonna say we're perfect, but we're pretty good. And I don't like to just toot our own horn. I vet my developers very thoroughly, and these guys are the best at what they do. Um, and they love what they do, and they love some of the products that we're able to show off and things like that. So, just in future podcasts, I hope to talk about things like that. I hope to get into some of the trends too, as well. There's a lot of things trending. I know a lot of people want to talk about AI, right? That's the big buzzword, and we will definitely get into AI. I still love some of the, you know, uh, you know, machine learning kind of things that we can implement. I think AI sometimes, um, can just take over a whole system. And I think right now, to read at actual human, you need some human logic. So I love to stay I love to debate people about AI and what AI can do and what's developing there in AI. Now, just to note, I'm not saying AI is not the future, so don't say that, because as it gets better, it will become the norm. So we are working on that. We are developing systems that help us implement AI faster into other into the applications that we may build in the future. So even when we have downtime, we're always just looking at the trends, looking at what's new, developing things like that that's new, to put out there for you guys. So I hope this podcast helps us talk about those things. And also, too, I like to use this podcast as well, not to just talk about business stuff. I will like to talk about business stuff when it relates to people. I know we just talked about AI. One of the trending topics is like how AI is going to take over everyone's job, how you should prepare yourself, and things like that. I have kids, and I know a little bit what their future is going to look like. I try to give them directions on where, I like them to go. But, you know, when I give this advice, it can definitely change because things will change. Government will add or remove regulations, and it depends on which country you're in, what those regulations will be. But what you will find, and I'll explain this in other podcasts, you'll find that sometimes our government may add those restrictions, and you start to see other governments like loosen their restrictions, and then we start to follow, or opposite, right? We loosen our restrictions and other governments start to follow. And that's the scary part of AI. So I'll talk about that, my thoughts on that, in a later podcast. Um, but like I said, nerdy media, this is kind of the area that we're in. This is a podcast that, just will dive into those topics. And if I can get some people onto this podcast to talk about those things, I'll add them to the podcast as well. Sometimes you'll meet some of my developers as well, and they'll go over certain things that certain topics that come across when it comes to the development space. We'll talk about some of the various databases, why we like to use them, things like that. So I hope to have some special guests on here. And if you guys ever feel the need, I always leave the comment section open below if you guys want to comment, and just share topics that you would love me to talk about. I would love to hear that as well. Like I say, I'm based out here in LA. It is currently January. We just had the wildfires out here. Um, um, I'm luckily in a place, Santa Clarita, that we didn't really get hammered by the wildfires, at least this year. It's been years in the past that we have. So that hasn't disrupted our business or anything like that. I just recently, yesterday, came from a conference where I had conversations with content creators. So that's one other space that I do want to talk about is content creation as well. Uh, monetizing content. Reusing content too is one of the specialties that we get into. Now, we're not a social media marketing company. I don't want to. We're not in that space, but we do dev in content where we repurpose content. We don't really shoot a lot of content, but we repurpose that content, share it on various social media platforms, kind of automate it. And you'll hear me talk about automation a lot because that's the part that I love. Because anything that I can make it easier for a person to be kind of that one man band for their company. To grow a company nowadays, it takes a lot. It takes social media, it takes paid ad, it takes SEO, it takes things like that to kind of grow your company, and it's really hard. So a lot of times when we're developing to make things a lot easier. And we're not that kind of development company that comes in and you'll hear this a lot. It's like, we need to build this from scratch. No, if your application is a stable application, we can also come in and add to it. And I think that's the best part about it. We're not gonna we're not that mechanic that comes in and sell you on a whole bunch of things that you don't really need, just to get more money and a long term client. I think your work can speak for yourself, and you can show that to other clients, and they will love it. So just note that we can be an addition to your team as well. So we're not just a, oh, we can take everything kind of company. We can also be that, and we can also help you add to your already existing group, and work with them. Sometimes you need more Indians and not too many chiefs, so we can be that as well. Um, and like I said, we work in all different types of industries. For instance, we worked in luxury rehab, uh, high risk, adult, content creation, fan platforms. We've built, just billing integrations on various sites. Um, you know, whether it's Stripe, another third party kind of billing platform, PayPal, and things like that. And that kind of work is rewarding. And like I said, each time is different, because of the requirement of the sites. E-commerce is a large industry that we work with. There's a lot of e-commerce sites out there, selling various things. And a lot of times, they run into problems. They may work with a company that they see on television, and it's not what they expected. And a lot of times we'll come in and show them, hey, you can actually use this payment processor. You can actually use this company to, if you want to put your customers on a payment plan, if you're depending on the pricing of your product. And that's the thing about marketing. With my marketing background, I'm able to let people know, hey, your prices are here, so you may need this company to actually add value to your product. I do a lot of market research. I believe that research, and actual data, uh, tells you where you should head, especially in your space. Now, I know everyone likes to be different, and that's totally fine. But sometimes you have to start here before you can get there. Um, you know, we'll talk about that at a later date as well. Um, and I hope to actually, continue to go around to these trade shows and meet a lot of people. The next trade show that I'll be going to will be Affiliate Summit West. Affiliate Summit West is a affiliate trade show, that there's various different kind of companies that we work with. Call tracking companies, um, traffic companies, affiliate networks. I've even run into fulfillment networks at these trade shows. And, even though I don't work directly with fulfillment companies outside of the development space of just communication of when that product needs to be filled, I will talk to these guys and, just get their information. That's the one thing that I do when I go to trade shows. I try to keep an open mind of whoever I'm meeting, because you never know when you're going to need that person. Um, but Affiliate Summit West has always been a great trade show for me. And it's been, when I first went there, it was kind of overwhelming. There was a lot of people there, and me being the first time there, it's just like, oh, like I said, I'm an introvert, so just walking around, I kind of stood in the corner the first day, and then I went back to my hotel and kind of psyched myself up to kind of go out the next day and make sure I talk to people. And that's the one thing that I learned that has helped me grow, is just talking to people, seeing what people need, and how I can solve that problem And that's really the basis of how I built nerdy media, is to basically solve people's problems. And we're here for you. So, like I said, we have an online forum. If you guys want to go online, I would love to just have your contact information, send you updates of when my next podcast come out, and just fill everybody's head with information. And I'm always learning as well. I love to learn. I love to listen to other podcasts, and get a better understanding. So if you guys have any recommendations for me, I'm always on the look for just new and innovative podcasts, articles, things of that nature, just to go off of. So, like I said, bear with me. So if you're watching this first episode and you're like, "Oh, this guy's boring," he keeps saying, "On the next episode, the next episode," let me know in the comments. So then that way, as these podcasts keep going along, they get better and better, more, and I become more of an interesting person to kind of talk to, or to listen to. And I think we're all in this together. So I would definitely love to get your feedback. Whatever you think of me, like, this guy needs to change up his hair, but no, I think my hair is good. But I'm getting a little older. This is how I've been in the industry for so long. It's all this gray hair that is coming in right there. But I love what I do, and I love to learn, and I love to grow. Uh, and this has been a great experience for me. I've Nerdy Media has been going ever since 2018, and we've been around since then. Like I said, based in Los Angeles. We have a lot of opportunities out here, and I meet clients from all over the United States and also all over Europe. We do work with clients in Europe as well, just helping them with their needs, um, doing a lot of things. And I've come across so many interesting people, even competitors. We work with our competitors sometimes, and it's just, it just happens that way, where it's like, oh yeah, we're in the same field, we're competitors, but we end up like, hey, sometimes we need each other's help and things like that. It's very, very interesting. Another thing, I'm going to write down some of these podcasts that we're going to talk about at a later date, but I definitely will talk about the high risk industry a lot. The high risk industry, there's always a need for help there, whether it's CBD, certain parts of the medical industry, adult. High risk can also be certain online stores where it's like you're selling a gaming product and things like that, and anybody that's just deemed high risk. So, various payment processors will deem certain industries as high risk, and we'll get into the things like, when it comes to payment processing, we'll get into things like chargebacks, refunds, the difference between those two. Um, Certain industry requirements, certain documents that you have to turn in before you can actually get that account. We'll talk about APIs and certain forms that you'll see out there, and certain things that you can do with these APIs, to help your business grow. Um, when it comes to payment processing, that's like the very important thing, because that's really the last step, right? The first step is traffic, the marketing side, getting that traffic through. The last part is the payment processing. So we'll talk about both sides, but definitely that payment processing, because once you get everything going, you're just like, hey, why am I not getting sales? And the sales are, very important, because if you don't get sales, you're probably not going to stick around that long in that industry. Um, and there's a fine tuning to it. Sometimes you may start here and then you start to turn the knob and you start to see some of those sales come in, and you turn the knob but just a little bit, and you see more sales come in, and you can overturn that knob too as well, and you start to see less sales. It's about hitting that right spot when it comes to payment processing. And the data that's coming in from the customers. But like I said, we'll get into very detailed about that at a later podcast. I have a lot to talk about, and I hope to enlighten you. So this is me. This is Nerdy Media Inc. And if you need to get a hold of me, you can go to nerdymedia.net /forums.html and just put in your information. And yeah, just put in your information. I'm usually on Skype, WhatsApp, and some of the other applications. We can always communicate, go back and forth, and things like that. So, like I said, this is the Nerdy Media Podcast. I hope to talk to you more soon. Thank you, guys.